All right, let's talk about it. How to build a social media strategy that actually works. If you're tired of just posting and, hoping for the best, you have definitely come to the right place. Today, we're going to break down how to build a plan that delivers real results.
So let's be real for a second. Have you ever felt like you're just lost in the social media maze? Like you're throwing content out there into the void, basically shouting into a super crowded room? Well, you are definitely not alone. It can absolutely feel like this chaotic, totally confusing maze.
And this quote from Ellie Nash, it just perfectly captures why it feels that way. The biggest challenge isn't just creating stuff anymore, it's the saturation and competition. It is so crowded out there. A solid strategy is what's going to help you cut through all that noise.
So, how do you navigate this maze? It's simple. You need a compass. And in the world of social media, that compass is your strategy.
Let's break that down, because strategy can sound like this big, scary word. But it's not some complicated document, I promise. It's really just your game plan. It answers 3 basic questions. What are you going to post? Where are you going to post it? And maybe most importantly, why are you posting it?
So what does a great strategy actually involve?
Well, it's a pretty clear process. Think of it like a checklist. You've got to define your brand's voice and message, select the most effective platforms, not all of them, set some measurable goals, map it all out with a content calendar, and then you have to analyze your performance to see what's actually working.
All right, let's dive into pillar number 1, find your people. This is so crucial. Before you even think about what to post, you have to know exactly who you're talking to. It all, and I mean all of it, starts with your audience.
Okay, so why are people even on social media in the first place? Let's look at the data, because it's pretty revealing. A huge 65% are there to keep up with friends. Over half want to be entertained. 50% are there to learn new things. And way down at the bottom of the list, just 28% are there to learn about new brands. This tells us one massive thing. People are not logging on to get a sales pitch. But here's the twist. Even though they aren't actively looking for you, when it's actually time to research a brand or a product, a massive 41% of consumers turn to social media first. So what's the takeaway? You have to be there. You have to be present and valuable for that exact moment when they do start searching.
And that brings us to this perfect point from Annie Mae Hodge. She says, you don't need to be on every single social media platform, full stop. I mean, for most businesses, trying to be everywhere is a total waste of time and energy. It's not about being on every platform, it's about being on the right ones. The ones where your people actually hang out.
Okay, so you've found your people. You know where they are. Now what? Let's move to pillar 2. It's time to craft your story. What are you actually going to say to them?
Think of it this way. You wouldn't wear a tuxedo to a beach party, would you? Of course not. The same logic applies to your content. Every platform has its own vibe, its own unwritten rules. So, your super professional, insightful posts, they belong on LinkedIn. But that creative, trend-driven video idea, that's perfect for TikTok. You gotta match the outfit to the occasion. And if you want a perfect example of this, look no further than Wendy's. They are absolute masters. On X, they're legendary for their sharp, witty, sarcastic comebacks. It's fast, it's funny, it's perfect for that platform. But then you jump over to their Instagram, and it's like a different world. It's all beautiful, polished food photography. It's the same brand, just speaking different dialects.
So does this mean you have to create brand new content for every single channel? Oh, definitely not. That would be exhausting. This is where repurposing comes in. It's about working smarter, not harder. You take one core idea and just adapt it for different platforms. This saves so much time, reaches more people, and reinforces your message over and over.
And maybe the most important part of your story? It has to be a conversation. You have to talk with your followers, not at them. I mean, check this stat out. A staggering 41% of consumers say relatability is the most memorable thing about a brand's post. What does that tell you? It means you have to engage, you have to respond, and above all, you just have to be human. All right, on to our third and final pillar, optimize and grow. So you've found your people, you've crafted your story, now it's time to fine-tune your efforts and turn all that engagement into actual, measurable growth. Let's start with a number that'll make your head spin. $100 billion. That's how big the US social commerce market is expected to be by 2026. This isn't some tiny niche trend, folks. This is a massive, seismic shift in how we all shop. And this is not just happening in the US.
Not by a long shot. Look at these projections around the globe. The UK, 83 billion. And China, I mean, look at that number. Social shopping is becoming the new normal everywhere. You see it, you like it, you buy it, all without ever leaving the app.
Okay, so since more and more people are using social media as a search engine, you've got to make it easy for them to find you. And look, it's not rocket science. It really comes down to 3 simple steps. 1. Use relevant keywords and hashtags in your bio and posts. 2. Make your username easy to remember and keep it consistent everywhere. And 3. Use descriptive alt text on your images. These little things make a huge difference.
But being found is only half the battle. What happens after they find you? That's what really matters. See, social media is now a frontline customer service channel, and the stakes could not be higher. Get this, 73% of consumers will switch to a competitor after just a couple of bad experiences. Good service isn't just a nice to have anymore, it's an absolute requirement.
So, how do you know if any of this is actually working? Well, you have to measure it. And Tameka Bazile just nails it with this quote. She says that without goals, you're basically flying blind. You won't know what to prioritize, you won't know what to win, and you won't know what you need to fix. And here's a great real-world example of what happens when you do pay attention to the data. Victoria's Secret. They looked at their metrics and saw an opportunity. They shifted from only showing those super polished, high-fashion photos to also including content from real customers, user-generated content. And the result? Boom. Engagement went up, exposure went up, and the brand felt way more relatable. All right, we have covered a ton of ground, right? From finding your people to crafting your story to optimizing for growth. So, what's your first step forward? What's the big takeaway here? Here it is, the single most important thing to remember. A great strategy is not set in stone. It is a living, breathing document. The social media world is always changing, so your plan has to change with it. The cycle is simple, but it is so powerful. Start, measure, adapt, and then you do it all over again. So I'm going to leave you with a question. Based on everything we just talked about, what's the one thing you'll change about your social media today? Just one small thing. What's it going to be?